Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today is a really exciting day because we've got the 70 to 180, we've got the 70 to 200 Mark I, and today Nikon has just announced the 70 to 200 f2.8 Mark II. We're going to compare all three of these lenses, we're going to see how the new one stacks up, so sit back, relax and enjoy a review of the 70 to 200 f2.8 Mark II. Now I want to start this review by actually talking about the old outgoing 70 to 200 because it's really difficult to make a review on a new lens when the old one is still so good, especially for the majority of people. It literally covers everything that you would need from a 70 to 200 lens. It's got internal zoom, it's compatible with teleconverters, it's not too heavy, it's not too bad, really easy to use features, like for example, it has a control ring and a screen, so you can change your aperture and see it reflected on the screen itself, which is really nice. It has a Kensington lock feature. It also has a really easily removable tripod color. So there's a lot going for this lens. Never mind, the image quality, the focusing speed, everything else about this lens that is top notch and well deserving of the S-Line badge. So, my first thought when reviewing the new lens is actually how much better can it be? And I must admit that the new 70 to 200 is a really good improvement. I didn't think it was possible, but they have actually touched up on a number of areas to improve this lens. And I'm going to be comparing the Mark I and the Mark II because although the Mark II lens has a massive amount of improvements, there are actually one or two things I prefer in the Mark I. So let's get into it. Now I'm going to start my comparison by looking at both of these lenses physically, because in terms of physical size, they don't really look all that much different. I mean, the new one is only 12 millimeters shorter, and let's be honest, 12 millimeters is not all that much. But it's when you actually pick up these lenses that you see a massive difference, because see, the new one is a whopping 362 grams lighter than the old one. Yes, you heard it right. 362 grams lighter. That's the equivalent of having a 35 millimeter 1.8 lens taken away from the new 70 to 200. A whole lens less than the Mark I. So it could be the difference between putting an extra lens like this in your bag or not. It's absolutely huge. Now, if you're a little bit suspicious of this magical weight loss, then you would be correct to question it, because the new lens actually has a really clever trick to trim down some of the weight, which the original lens doesn't do. So now I'm going to compare the original lens with the Mark II to show you exactly how it achieves some of this weight reduction. Now, in the original 70 to 200, if you want to remove the tripod foot, it's actually really easy. Too easy if you ask some people, because it's literally just a knob that you just twist off and then it's a button. Press the button and the whole thing comes off just like that. It's small, it's practical and really easy to do. Now, on the Mark II, this is how Nikon has managed to achieve this weight reduction, right? It's because instead of having a knob or a button like you would expect on the Mark I, on the Mark II, you actually press a button on the back of the lens, press it, twist it, and then you can just pull the whole thing out. So by pulling it out like that, you actually get a completely separate part. It's actually the whole tripod collar itself, not just the foot. And this weighs quite a bit. Now, of course, Nikon has improved the optics to reduce the weight as well, but this certainly helps, and it makes for a lens that's actually quite a bit skinnier, especially at the bottom part. Now, if you're a little bit like me, don't worry, Nikon does provide in the box another cover that you can just put in, screw in place, and then your lens will look as if it's been designed to not have a tripod color. So that is a really nice touch from Nikon. But to be honest, most people that use a 70 to 200 don't need the tripod foot anyway. So being able to just take the entire thing out and save a lot of weight is really handy. Now, there's more than that in terms of actual physical changes, so let's get to them. So the first one is that the Mark I actually has a built-in LCD display, which personally I really like. I mean, I'm shooting on a 24-70 Mark I on the ZR at the moment, and for example, if I need to do B-roll, then I can zoom in the lens, and then because I have the screen on top, I can see exactly what my focal length was when I was shooting in my talking headshot. So for example, the talking headshot that you're watching right now is at 37 millimeters. So I can zoom in the lens and I can come back to 37, and that will be very, very accurate, far more so than the markings on the lenses themselves. So it's a feature that I really like, and it's a shame to see it go on the new version. However, you know, if we can get the lens a lot lighter, which they have, then, you know, if that means getting rid of features like that, then I'm all up for it, because I would prefer a lighter lens than just having a top LCD display. Another design change is the control ring itself. So on the Mark 1, it's smooth, so it's really easy to accidentally turn and change your settings. You could easily go from f2.8 to f16 without even realizing it, which is why on the lenses that I own that have that function, I just turn it off entirely. Whereas on the Mark II, it's a completely declickable setup, which means I'll know exactly what the lens is changing because I can feel it and I can hear it, which for stills, it's great. However, for video, you have the option to declick it where you still have that smooth setup as before. And of course, you still have the option to turn it off altogether. A nice feature that the Mark 1 has, but the Mark 2 doesn't, is the Kensington lock. So if you go to the knob on the tripod color and just peel off the cover, then actually you'll see the port on there. So the Kensington lock is used for tying down the lens in difficult situations. So for example, if you're interviewing someone, you want to have a top-down shot and you want to make sure the lens doesn't fall on someone's head, which would be a very, very bad day, then you can actually get a chain that has a Kensington lock end, click on the lens, and that's it. You're making your lens much more secure. This is a very nice touch on the Mark 1 that we don't find on the Mark 2. Now, I decided to leave the best physical change for last, which is the fact that we finally have Arca Swiss built straight into the tripod feet. This is absolutely fantastic, and I know a lot of you, myself included, have been asking for this for a long time. Basically means we can just take this and slide it right into our tripods without the need of a tripod plate, which is really, really nice and certainly a very welcome feature. If you've made it this far into the video, first of all, thank you very much. Now, at the end of the video, I'm going to be doing a comparison between the Mark 1 and the Mark 2 for real life use with actual photos and videos, and comparing things like image quality and autofocusing speed. But before we get into that, I just want to have a quick chat about the options that we currently have on the Nikon lineup, right? So the first one is the Nikon 70-180 f2.8, and I think that that is the most underrated lens of its kind. It's small, it's cheap, it's light, it's really, really good, right? It's not going to have class-leading optics, of course not. That's not what it's intended to do. It's half the price comparing to the other ones. But if you're not sure about the focal length, or if it's just not a lens that you use all that much, then you can just take this lens, pop it into a bag, and maybe use it, maybe you don't. And I think that's really, really nice that you have that option. Or it's not a lens that you use very much, so when you use it, you want to make sure that it's nice, light, and compact. So that's why you buy the 70-180. Now, the reason why you'd go for a Mark 1, for example, is if you need internal zoom, stabilization, faster autofocus, things like that, and maybe you don't want to pay as much as you'd have to pay for the Mark 2, because then the Mark 1 has been around a while, it might be on a sale, or even you can buy it secondhand. So the Mark 1 is really good value for money because it has those extra advanced specs, but it's not going to cost quite as much as buying a brand new Mark 2. Now, the Mark II is definitely the lighter lens comparing to the Mark I. So if you're the kind of person that you're trying to reduce your camera bag, but at the same time you want the best image quality, the best autofocus possible, and a few quality of life features like the declickable ring or the Arca Swiss, then we have the Mark II that's going to be good for you. So essentially, get the Mark II if you want the best of the best, get the Mark I if you want a good compromise between paying top dollar or getting the best features, and get the 70-180 if you want kind of a compromise in terms of image quality and autofocus with stabilization, but you're also getting a lens that's significantly smaller and lighter and cheaper comparing to the other two. But The good thing is they're all f2.8 all the way through, they're all weather sealed, they are all compatible with teleconverter, so you really can't go wrong with whichever one you choose. So I decided to take out this lens to see what it can do. So everything that you're going to see now was shot on the Nikon ZR in Red Raw 6K. Now unfortunately it was a very rainy, dull and grey day, so we're not going to get the best colors out of it, but it does give us an opportunity to show just how well it can render different subjects. And everything that you're seeing here was shot completely handheld, just using the lens stabilization, and I think it's done a fantastic job. And let's not forget to shout out the weather sealing. Again, it was rainy the entire time, so it did a really good job with keeping water out. Now, when it comes to doing these autofocusing tests, it's definitely not a lab test, right? I don't have a focus chart or anything like that. I just wanted to give you a real life experience, which is why I have 3D tracking enabled, which is something that I use all the time to find moving subjects. But then if I want to quickly move onto a static subject, I can as well. And that's why you can see me moving very erratically. If I was taking photos, this is exactly how I would be moving in the viewfinder. Maybe if I'm shooting a wedding or something fast-paced, it will be exactly the same. As you can see, the Mark 1 lens is very fast, but the Mark 2 is just that much quicker. I feel like it doesn't hesitate as much as the Mark 1, but in the grand scheme of things, they're both going to be very, very fast indeed. I would only consider the autofocus improvements if you're doing things like wildlife and motorsport, but for everyone else, such as weddings, portraits, commercial, I think you'd still be very well served with the Mark 1. Now, I'm not a pixel peeper or anything like that, so I'm not going to go into too much detail and zooming in into 300% and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to leave a very simple comparison of both lenses wide open with some nice foliage so you can see things like vignetting and sharpness. But again, both of these lenses perform really, really well. So I hope you've enjoyed the video just as much as I enjoyed making it. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of the new 70-200 introduced by Nikon. And please don't forget to like and subscribe, as that really, really helps out the channel. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.